Hello, my name is Jimmy. I'm a child passenger safety technician, and this is the 2023 Volvo C40. It's been a while since Volvo has put the C in front of any of their vehicles. There was a C30 before, which was a 3-door hatchback with a funky rear hatch, and then there was a C70, a hardtop convertible. But back to this, the C40. No, it's not 2 doors like the previous ones, but it is really, really cool. So let me tell you everything you need to know, starting with the looks. On the front end here, it looks very similar to other Volvo products. You got the Thor LED headlamp on the side, a blanked out grille because it is an EV. You got some LED fog lights down below as well. As this example is the utmost ultimate trim, we got 20-inch wheels that are kind of flat looking, but it's a very EV design. Got some blacked out mirrors here. I love Volvo for this. Proximity door locks on the front doors as well as the rear. And then on the back here is where we see that coupe-like shape. Everything kind of narrows down. And then you got these amazing, beautiful LED tail lamps. I must say I love these. Like, I can stare at them all day, turning off and on, off and on. They're absolutely beautiful. You got this little deck lit spoiler here in black just so that it blends into that window a little bit more. I mean, let's be honest, like a lot of Volvos, it's quite understated, but this angle back here, this rear 3/4, is probably the best view for this vehicle. I absolutely love how this looks. And don't think it's compromising too much on cargo space, because if I lift up the trunk here, we still get 14 cubic feet of space. Now you might be thinking 14 cubic feet doesn't sound like a lot. Sure, the number suggests it's not the biggest. However, well, underneath the tonneau cover, it's essentially the same size as the XC40. So you got enough space for really everything you need. Of course, you can fold the rear seats down 60-40, and this carpet, you can fold it all the way out to protect the seats. Or you can flip it over and you get a little, well, more water resistant coating. And what's more is underneath this carpet, if I pull this out, you get, well, a pretty cool feature here, because this is available, of course, on the XC40 as well. But if you pull this up, there's a little slot here that you can slide it into. Now you get grocery hooks. Perfect. And it's a divider as well. So you can put items in the front, items in the back, and there's a little bit more storage underneath as well. It's actually quite smart. And underneath, don't think it's going to be really for your cables, because you do have a frunk. Although it's quite small, you can put the cables up there. But let's move on to the inside. All right, the back seats of the C40. I'm 5'11" and I got just enough headroom. Legroom's also pretty good. I mean, if you're over 6 foot, definitely call shotgun for the front. In terms of the materials, it's quite nice back here. You got soft touch on the doors. You got heated seats on these wool seats here, which is just fabulous. If I was to spec a C40, this is what I would pick. You get an armrest in the center with your integrated cup holders, air vents, the button for your heated seats right on the bottom, and 2 USB Type-C ports so you can charge all your devices and keep your kiddos happy. Speaking of kiddos, like I mentioned, I am a child passenger safety technician, and well, I'm certified to put these seats in the car safely. On the driver's side here, this is a Collect Lane infant seat. While the doors don't open a full 90 degrees, there's still enough space for you to get the carrier in and out easily. On the passenger side, this is a Collect Fünf, a rear-facing child seat here. No problem getting this in either. While yes, the coupe-like shape does require you to kind of duck and squeeze your child in just a little bit, it's not too bad. I've been putting my son in, he's 3 years old almost, and putting him in here has been absolutely fine. Unfortunately, the vehicle itself is just not wide enough for you to put 3 seats across. And if your child's a little bit older and you need to use a booster, well, this Uber here fits perfectly as well. As for lower anchors, there's 2 sets, one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. They're just behind these plastic caps, making it really easy to install. And then you got 3 upper anchors just behind the bench here. But let's move up to the front. All right, the front seats of the C40. Headroom, legroom, not an issue at all. These wool seats, once again, amazing seats. I love them. They're heated, not cooled, unfortunately, but they're wool. You don't need them to be cooled. They stay cool in the summer and they stay, well, relatively warm in the winter from your body heat, obviously. So, well, it's actually a great material for seats. That's why the Toyota Century yeah, that luxury sedan that is only for the Japanese market. That's why they use wool seats. But a little off topic there. In front of me is your typical Volvo steering wheel. I mean, it has all the buttons you need. Sure, it may take you like a sec to, well, just get used to the controls themselves, but they're relatively large and easy to press, which is always a nice thing. Behind that, a full digital cluster, as this is powered by Google Automotive here. It's, well, a really nice cluster. The only kind of like disadvantage is there's not a lot of configurability. I mean, there's the screen here without a map, and there's a screen with a map. And that's it. That's really all, the options you have. I mean, there is a trip computer, but that's really all you get. There's nothing too special about it. However, what I did find is when you're using CarPlay, and I was using Apple Maps, it actually comes up on the display now. This is a newer feature that's available with the update because older ones didn't get that. So that is definitely a welcome addition. As for the infotainment screen, yes, it's a little small on today's standards, but I do like the vertical orientation. It has my CarPlay, so it has what I need. Unfortunately, I do have to plug it into a USB-C port. No wireless option as of yet, but you know what? It's totally fine. The climate control, yes, that's also built in, and it may take you just a sec to, well, get used to just a little bit of latency that's within it. Or you can just be like, okay, Google, set my temperature to 18 degrees.
Okay, changing the temperature for the driver to 18 degrees.
You can just do that, which is always nice and easy. Just below that, you got your volume knob with your defrost front and rear, so it's always accessible. Crystal shifter, which is definitely something you need. And then in the middle, I love this, a removable garbage can. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone has some sort of garbage within their car that they're shoving all over the place. This, a very, very welcome feature. XC40 and C40 only. Love this. Putting that back in, you actually got a pretty good size center console. Like, my camera fits in here with no problems. And another genius thing up here. The glove box, there's this little hook, so you can put your groceries in there, or, if you have a purse, you can hang it on there as well. A great addition. That's like super, super smart. Overall, this interior is your typical Volvo interior. It's, for some, maybe a little bland, but it's very functional. And everything is just, well, relatively simple and easy to use. There's nothing that's oddly placed or anything like that. It's just simple. And that's really the Volvo way, isn't it? Before we go for a drive, let's talk a little bit about the powertrain options. The base C40 is a rear-wheel drive unit now. It makes 248 horsepower with 310 pound-feet of torque. With a 66 kilowatt-hour battery, it has a range of 478 kilometers or 297 miles. The vehicle that we're in is a twin-motor all-wheel drive unit. It makes 402 horsepower and 494 pound-feet of torque. With the larger 79 kilowatt-hour battery, it has a range of 414 kilometers or 257 miles. And with those kind of numbers, you'll be thinking, well, the C40 should be pretty quick, right? It is. Accelerating to highway speeds, not a problem at all. Yep. I mean, come on, let's be honest. What kind of dual motor EV isn't this quick? This is just fun. Whenever you want to pass someone, just mash the throttle. It goes. You don't have any of that latency of downshifting, revving up, nothing. That's the best part about EVs. And of course, don't have to pay for gas, but that's whatever. It's this immediate torque. It's just so fun. All right, let's be honest though. Most, not all, because some of you are, well, a little crazy, like me, which is great. But for most of you, you're probably going to drive this more sensibly. And, well, when you do, it's, actually a really, really good drive. There's no, different drive modes or anything like that. It's just a single drive mode. And it's also one pedal driving. You can just lift off the throttle and it just applies the brakes. Pretty seamless system, actually. I like it quite a bit. But the drive, the suspension on this, I must say, Volvo had just calibrated the suspension so well. It's, well, let's be honest, the biggest competitor the Tesla Model Y. Now, not to harp on Tesla fanboys or anything like that, it's a great piece of technology, but the suspension on a Model Y, it's just nowhere near as good as this. The engineers at Volvo has perfected the suspension, because this is not only comfortable on smooth roads, it's also comfortable on rougher roads. And that's where the Model Y just, well, suffers a little bit. It's just, well, quite jiggly. This isn't at all. This feels planted. And when you go around a corner, because of the lower center of gravity, it still feels like, well, what an EV should. It's just nice and planted. It's right on the ground. The steering feel is whatever. I mean, most vehicles these days are kind of bland and boring, and this one is really no different. But if you want to stiffen things up a little bit, you can. Because if you go into settings under driving, you can make the steering just a little bit more firm, if that's something that you want to do. I've just left it normal because that's just, well, better for me. I mean, when you're on the highway with this as well, you got that Pro Pilot Assist where it can kind of drive for you. It shows a hand on the display that you should keep one hand on the wheel, and you really should. And I mean, sure, one hand on the wheel, but you can be like half paying attention, because it's so good at like just keeping you within the lane and keeping the distance from the vehicle in front of you, where, well, it's pretty seamless. So you really don't have to worry too much at all. Oh, that acceleration, it can make you sick with this acceleration. I mean, overall, let's be honest, the C40 is probably not for everyone. And this all-wheel drive, well, you probably may not need it as well. If you just go for the rear-wheel drive option, it's going to be a little bit less. The base price on a C40 is $60,645. And for this, the ultimate all-wheel drive, 77,445 Canadian dollars. And I mean, yeah, it's just in line with the Model Y. It's about there for the Q4, as well as the Lyriq, which is the other competitors that people kind of forget about, let's be honest, because, I mean, everyone thinks about the Model Y. But this, I must say, I like this a whole lot more. As someone who likes to drive a car, the C40 just makes more sense as a driver's car. And if you need a little bit more space, well, there's the XC40, which is essentially this, except not a coupe-like rear end. But I'm willing to sacrifice that space for those rear taillights. Those rear taillights, I love them. I so love them. Let me know what your thoughts are on the C40 in the comments below. Will you buy this car just because of the taillights like me? Or maybe you'd rather have something more practical like the XC40? Or if you want to wait for the EX30, I can't wait for that. That's going to be really, really cool as well. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you do. And I'll see you next time. Take care. I'm gonna get a headache from just like bouncing my head on this headrest. Love it. Absolutely love it.